ومع حلقة جديدة مع الطريقة السهلة لترك التدخين. يلا بينا.
All smokers hope their children won't start, which means they wish they hadn't started themselves. If you've ever made an attempt to quit, you're continuing to smoke not out of choice, but because that attempt failed. Given the choice, smokers would rather be non-smokers. So what's stopping them?
I can't enjoy a drink without a cigarette.
I get really uptight when I can't smoke.
I can't imagine enjoying a meal without a cigarette.
I panic if I'm running low on cigarettes.
I can't relax at a social occasion without a cigarette.
I need a cigarette to help me cope with the stresses and strains of life.
Whenever I've tried to stop, I've been miserable and irritable, and I can't concentrate.
I once stopped for 3 months, but the craving didn't go, and I know an ex-smoker who quit 5 years ago and is still dying for a cigarette. I'm afraid I'll suffer the craving for the rest of my life.
You do want to stop, but you think it's going to be hard and are afraid of failure. After all, you haven't succeeded yet. Perhaps you've already tried many times using nicotine substitutes like patches or gum, or acupuncture, hypnosis, or just plain willpower. But nothing seems to work. You may be convinced that it's got to be difficult, and may even be impossible. But that's only because you've gone about it the wrong way. If you try to stop without understanding why you smoke, then no matter how determined you are, your chances of succeeding are very slim indeed. So why do you smoke?
I need a cigarette to cope with stress.
I enjoy a cigarette when I'm relaxing.
It helps me concentrate.
It relieves boredom.
I like the taste.
I like the smell.
It's a social prop.
It's stylish and cool.
I like the ritual.
It's something to do with my hands.
It's oral satisfaction.
I like inhaling the smoke.
It's a crutch.
It's a pleasure.
It's company, a friend.
I feel miserable without cigarettes.
It's just a habit.
I've got an addictive personality.
I'm a nicotine addict.
I don't know.
If there are so many advantages to smoking, why do smokers want to stop?
It's bad for my health.
It's costing me a fortune.
It's filthy and disgusting.
It's controlling my life.
Bad breath.
The smell of my hair and clothes.
It's antisocial.
It's making me lethargic.
It's a bad example to my children.
Stained fingers.
Stained teeth.
Coughing, wheezing.
Lack of self-respect.
Slavery.
So there's a whole set of advantages and a whole set of disadvantages. Let's look at some of the advantages. Smokers give contradictory reasons for smoking.
I need a cigarette to cope with stress.
I enjoy a cigarette when I'm relaxing.
Stress and relaxation are complete opposites.
It helps me concentrate.
It relieves boredom.
Boredom and concentration are also complete opposites. What miraculous product can do for you 1 minute the complete opposite of what it did for you an hour earlier?
I like the taste.
Taste has nothing to do with it. You don't eat cigarettes. Even if you love the taste of lobster, you never reach the stage where you have to carry lobsters with you at all times.
I like the smell.
Why not spray your house with the delightful fragrance of cigarette smoke?
In fact, the awful smell is one of the reasons why smokers want to quit. Even if you love the smell of roses, that doesn't make you want to smoke them. And most smokers actually dislike the smell of other people's cigarettes.
It's a social prop.
Ashtray.
Yeah.
No one used to smoke, huh? I'll go outside.
In fact, smoking is nowadays increasingly being recognised as very antisocial, and this is one of the reasons smokers give for stopping.
It's stylish and cool.
Uncool and unfashionable to smoke. The heroes of today's films and TV programmes are increasingly non-smokers.
I like the ritual.
Heroin addicts believe they enjoy the ritual of injecting themselves. They don't, it's just the way of delivering the drug into their body. And it's not to get a high, it's to relieve the low caused by the withdrawal from the previous fix. Smokers are in exactly the same position.
It's something to do with my hands.
It's oral satisfaction.
So why light it? You could save a fortune without damaging your health at all.
I like inhaling the smoke.
That's called suffocation. The worst thing about smoking is that you have to choke yourself to death in order to do it. So why is cigarette smoke so special? Because it contains nicotine, which is a highly addictive drug. I'll explain how nicotine addiction works shortly, but first, let's look at the other reasons smokers give.
It's just a habit.
I've got an addictive personality.
I'm a nicotine addict.
I don't know.
In fact, these aren't so much reasons for smoking as excuses for not having stopped. They tend to be used by longer-term smokers who sense they're not getting any genuine advantages, but still feel unable to quit.
It's a crutch.
It's a pleasure.
It's company, friend.
I feel miserable without cigarettes.
You still believe that smoking provides you with some genuine pleasure or crutch, and that by quitting you'd be losing a friend. And you know that on previous attempts to quit or cut down, you've been miserable. You therefore, quite understandably, have fears about stopping. These fears are the result of a lifetime's brainwashing. From birth, we're bombarded by information telling us that cigarettes relax us, relieve stress and boredom, and help us to concentrate. We're brainwashed into believing that we need them to cope with and enjoy life. Our subconscious is manipulated through marketing techniques, social images, and misconceptions. Smokers themselves, and even so-called experts, perpetuate these illusions. The result is, we don't even question them. On the other hand, we're also made aware of the terrible disadvantages of smoking. In fact, we're torn between two contradictory fears. On the one side, it's killing me, costing me a fortune, filthy, disgusting, and controlling my life. You try to block that bad side from your mind, but you never succeed. It's like a dark shadow, And while you're smoking, it just gets darker and darker, looms larger and larger. On the other side, how can I enjoy life or cope with stress without my little pleasure or crutch? You're frightened that if you stop smoking, you'll have to go through some terrible trauma, and that even if you do succeed, you may never be completely free from the desire to smoke. It never seems to dawn on the smoker that both these sets of fears are caused by smoking. Non-smokers suffer neither of them, and one of the greatest gains of being free is to end this constant battle. Once you understand the nicotine trap, then you'll see that all the reasons for smoking are illusions. You'll realise that far from being miserable as a non-smoker, you'll actually enjoy social occasions more and handle stress better. The whole object of this exercise is for you to enjoy being a non-smoker from the moment you quit. But first, you need to understand more about drug addiction. Which of these drugs do you think is most addictive? Alcohol? Cannabis? Cocaine? Heroin? Crack? No. The nicotine contained in tobacco is the most addictive drug known to mankind. The good news is that although nicotine is highly addictive, the physical withdrawal is very slight. So slight, in fact, that most smokers don't even recognise it as a drug addiction. There's no physical pain. In fact, it's identical to the feeling of a hunger for food and to the feeling caused by normal stress. But even heavy smokers can go for long periods without smoking and scarcely even be aware of it, on planes, for example, and it's not strong enough to wake you up at night. What's more, it gets no worse when you stop. Smokers think of withdrawal as the trauma they suffer when they try to quit by using willpower. But that's not physical, that's mental, and Easy Way removes it even before you extinguish your final cigarette. Nicotine is the colourless, oily compound contained in tobacco that addicts smokers. It's a deadly poison, and it's sold commercially as an insecticide. If you were to inject the nicotine content of just one cigarette into a vein, it would kill you. Every puff on a cigarette delivers to the brain via the lungs a small dose of nicotine that acts faster than a dose of heroin injected into a vein. Nicotine is a quick-acting drug, and levels in the bloodstream fall by about 50% 2 hours after extinguishing a cigarette. This is why most smokers average about 20 a day. As nicotine leaves the body, you experience an empty, insecure feeling, a tenseness or edginess, which I'll refer to as the itch. Smokers believe they only suffer withdrawal symptoms when they try to quit. On the contrary, they suffer them all their smoking lives. Just as we only know hunger for food as I want or need to eat, so we only know the itch as I want or need a cigarette.